moraine.
No, it looks great.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, good afternoon. This is Michelle Sandlin, and you are watching No Filter with Michelle Sandlin. And today, my very special guest is comedian, writer, producer. I hope I get all the buzz titles correct. Is comedian Jiffy Wild, who you may know from Chelsea Lately fame and a lot of other fun stuff. And before I say hello to Jiffy, I just wanted to mention that today's show is being brought to you by Jiffy Corn Muffin Mix. Obviously, that's
There
a
it is.
joke, but I saw this in my pantry this morning. I'm a Southern girl from Louisiana, and we know a lot about cornbread. So anyway, it made me think of you this morning. So anyway, Jiffy, hi, welcome.
Hey.
Please tell us what you're up to. What's going on in your world?
Well, in my line of work, it's having a million things going on and praying that one of them pans out. I'm working on a couple feature length screenplays. One is a little bit further down the line. I'm actually talking to some producers that are interested in financing it. Low budget, of course. I'm doing stand up. I'm what else am I doing? Oh, there's a chance I may go work on Chelsea's new show on Netflix. But that I'm not 100% sure about right now. But I would love to. if
Yeah, no, I'm sure that would be a lot of fun. Obviously, you guys had a lot of good times there. I guess pushing a lot of boundaries and breaking a lot of rules, which I'm always a big fan of. So, big fan of all of you guys. And as I mentioned to you before we even, connected for real, I had the opportunity to have Sarah Colonna on my show a few months ago, and she is always very entertaining and was very gracious to be on the show. And of course, she was promoting her new book. So I guess that begs the question for you. Are you writing a book as well? I know Jen Kirkman has. I've read her book. I think Josh Wolf has one out. So when's the Jiffy book coming out?
I don't have any interest in writing a book, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if it inspiration struck down the line, I'm kind of more interested in fiction and in the screenplay format, whether it's pilot for a television show or a feature length script. I that's what I spend all my time doing, and I pitch a lot of unscripted ideas to producers and networks, like game shows and kind of reality based shows. So that's what I don't know. I don't like I love reading books, obviously, but I don't know. I've tried a couple times and it's just not my format. I don't it doesn't come easy.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and I think it doesn't come easy for a lot of people. But we'll see what's down the road for you. So what would be some of the ideal projects for you? I mean, would it be more behind the scenes or more in front of the camera?
I'm happy to do both, and I kind of just my mantra is just kind of like wherever the world takes me. Whatever path is of least resistance. I feel like sometimes people get like tunnel visioned into like pursuing just like one thing, and no matter what they come against, and they sometimes people almost look at like resistance is like a badge of honor, like, oh, look at everything I'm going to overcome, when sometimes it's just resistance for a reason. Like maybe you should change path. And so whether I'm constantly pursuing on-air stuff and auditioning, but if it doesn't work out, then I'm totally happy just being a writer or a producer, like whether it's on Chelsea's next show or whether one of my screenplays actually good. But so for me, it's wherever the wind blows.
Well, that's a definitely a good way to look at it. So just curious, how did you get your start? How did this crazy, life take hold for you?
Well, so ever since I was like in 8th grade, I wanted to be a film director, which now I don't really, interestingly. But I liked writing and directing from a very early age. I went to film school, then I graduated, and my first job, which was it's just worth noting, just from like a film buff standpoint, my first job right out of college, I kind of like happened into being Warren Beatty's personal assistant, which was like, as a kid, like me, my first I remember my first like username online was Clyde Barrow, which was his character from Bonnie and Clyde.
Right.
So like for me, I was just like, oh my God, like I just get to be in the same room with him for all day. It was like the coolest thing that I could imagine.
Well, I can imagine that would be like every kid's dream job.
Yes, it was. It was what it was, but you imagine you're going to be like best friends with them, when you're like a personal assistant to a star, and like hang out and be buds. But it's you find out that you're an assistant, you're an employee, and it was still super fun for me at the time. I was 21 or something, so it was a lot of fun. But then I left just because I kind of wanted to get into production, and I started working at the E Network, but just doing like art department stuff, like building sets and building props and set dressing and stuff. And I was doing really well with that. And then my boss, who was the production designer at E, was like, "Oh, hey, there's this new show called Chelsea Lately. It's only going to be going on for like 8 weeks, and then it'll probably get canceled. But they need one art guy. So do you want to go do that for the summer?" And I was like, "Oh, hell yeah." Like, I knew Chelsea from her original show, the Chelsea Handler show, and from Girls Behaving Badly. So I was like already a fan, and was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. I'll do that for 2 months. And then the show just kept getting picked up, and it became this thing that it was. And, for the first year and a half on the show, I was the art director, but, I had a lot of great FaceTime with Chelsea, and like I was on, just building sets and doing props, and they kind of started eventually just putting me on camera, just because I don't know, I fit, they're like, "Oh, we need someone to be a Jonas brother," and at the moment everyone here is too old, so Jiffy, you be the Jonas brother. And then Chelsea was just like very gracious and like would invite me over to her house to have dinner, invite me out to drinks with the writers, and I just kind of made her laugh. Like, I think she just kind of found me amusing. So then she started putting me on the round table, and then it was just kind of, that was, I guess, an example of there wasn't much resistance. It was just kind of happening for me. My friends call me their Forrest Gump friend, because they think I just seem to kind of like wander into like success, which isn't, there is some sort of luck, I think, with success, but you still have to like, do what you're,
Yeah, you have to create part of it.
Yeah. You can't just like do nothing and then expect, the world and to work out for you. But so I mean, I was working really hard, writing and doing everything before I actually became a writer. And then so after I was on the round table and on TV and kind of like one of the characters on the show, I became the writer's assistant. So then I was a writer's assistant for like a while, and then I eventually got promoted to writer and producer on the show, and then the show ended.
Right, exactly. Well, tell me about that. I mean, was it difficult to have, a really successful show end and I guess try to separate your identity, so to speak, from that and move on? I mean, was that difficult for a lot of you guys coming off of that?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult because it was such a comfortable, environment. We were all like getting paid well to like just like goof around all day, and it was a really fun environment. We all became very close friends, like all the cast and everything, and all the writers and producers. It was great, and it was kind of a catch-22 because it was so great, no one would ever leave, but at the same time, everybody had aspirations of their own as well. So it was a bittersweet kind of blessing that Chelsea finally said, "I'm done with this," because it kind of made the decision for everybody, like, okay, well, shit, now I have to like go and do all these things that I've dreamed of doing, but I would never do as a writer and a producer on Chelsea, because I was so comfortable and having so much fun. Like, and it was a lot of work, so it's kind of like there was no time to like, I mean, we all did stand up, and they were all like great about like, "Oh yeah, you can take Friday off and go travel to wherever and do stand up and then come back."
Yeah.
So like everyone was so busy just working like our tails off Monday through Thursday, and then jumping on a plane Thursday night, doing shows Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday, sometimes flying back Monday morning to start it all over again. And so that was just the cycle forever. And, you know, and people did a lot. People were pitching shows and writing books, but I didn't really, you know, I was focused on the show, I think. And so it's been great and frightening to be without that safety net. But it's been fun. I have, you know, like I said, there's a chance I may end up going back and working for her again. I don't know if that's going to happen for sure, but you know, it would be great if it did. But if it doesn't, you know, like I've been spending the last year just working my ass off, you know, trying to build up things for myself, and just hopefully, you know, they'll start paying off.
Yeah, well, hopefully you'll get some savings together and be able to upgrade your iPhone and your iPad and all those technological things that make our lives a bit easier, right?
Yes, people don't. That if anybody watching this doesn't understand how long it took me to get connected to you today, because my iPhone. Let me look. Okay, first of all, look at see how cracked it is.
Oh, that's hard to see, man.
And so in the phone that faces you, you know,
Yeah.
doesn't work. So I'm like, oh shit, like I can't do that, you know. So then I mean, it's got like boogers all over. Like the kids have just destroyed it, and you know, it's like 10 years old or something. I'm like, I don't even know if it has battery power, and then I have to like, you know, download this app, the Google Hangout app. I don't hang out with anybody anymore. You know, I don't have an app for it. And then I'm on the run, so I'm at a library. See, look at.
Hey, it's a good thing libraries still exist. Wow, you're really on location there.
I am in the beautiful downtown Burbank. See that?
Oh, wonderful. So are you from the West Coast? I mean, did you grow up out there?
Arizona, Tucson, Arizona. And then
Okay.
I've been out in LA though for, you know, 16 years or something.
Yeah.
A while.
Love it or hate it?
I love it. I actually live here in Burbank, and it's like so much different than the rest of what Los Angeles is. It's very family friendly, and we have kids, and there's plenty of parking, which, you know, when we lived in Hollywood, it was always like, that was like a huge part of your life. That was like, you know, if you had like a pie chart of like the things you have to like think about every day, like parking was like, you know, like 19% of your day, you know, just like stressing about it. And if you invited a friend over, it was always like, you had to like give them a secret map to where to park, and
oh God.
You know, or sometimes, you know, you'd go to I remember I'd go to like a friend's house in my 20s and drive around for like 20 minutes, not being able to find parking, and then just go home. Like that happens.
Yeah, that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, no, it's pretty. So now we're
parking's a big deal.
Yes. So I'm sure that's relatable for everybody across the country.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. So obviously your real name is Jeff, but people call you Jiffy. You call yourself Jiffy. Where did that come from?
Chelsea, actually.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, you know, I don't know where she came up with it or why, but it was just like back when I was still doing art department stuff. She was like, "Hey, so I'm just gonna call you Jiffy," and it, you know, when she gives you a nickname, it kind of just, you know, you take it, and it's kind of funny because then I ended up working on that show for so long that it really became like my name, and so a lot of people just call me that. And now that the show's over, people still call me that, and I'm still kind of like known as that. And you know, when I go on the road, it's not Jeff Wild doing stand-up, it's Jiffy Wild. And you know, it's like a, you know, it's a cute name. I think you know, nicknames are never, they're always a little bit diminutive, you know, like you don't give, you know, Mark Zuckerberg doesn't go by Zucky, you know. You're always kind of like, you know, the higher ups never have nicknames. And so I felt like I've outgrown, as a 36-year-old man, the name Jiffy. But then, you know, I'll have like, you know, it's funny, I was on Ross Matthews.
Absolutely.
So I was on his podcast last week, and somehow this came up, and I was talking to his manager about it, and his manager was saying, I think it's great because there's no other Jiffies. You know, like you have like a branding thing. It's like if it comes to that, people will, you know, where people know you more. it'll be just Jiffy, and people will know that. And
That's so true. That's so true. No longer does your trademark have to be a gap between your teeth, right? And I only joke about that because I can, since I have a gap between my front 2 teeth as well. But
I know
we're in great company, huh?
Have you ever I know, well, there are, like you had mentioned Letterman and Madonna, and
Yeah.
even like Merv Griffin did. I didn't realize that. I just saw some old Merv Griffin shows.
Yeah.
So maybe there's like this host element thing to it. Have you ever wanted to get rid of it?
You know what? It's less than it was, but no, I don't want to get rid of it. I think it's become part of my character. In fact, I one time had a photographer who thought he was doing me a favor by closing it up via Photoshop. And I was like, oh no, you got to take that out because it doesn't even look like me anymore. So yeah, it's kind of, I guess, an interesting thing. You've let Jiffy kind of be a big part of your brand, and I think I've done the same with my hairstyle. People know me now more for my hairstyle, I think, than my teeth, which is good.
That's
much
funny.
better thing to be known for I think. So tell me, I know that you've been touring with Josh Wolf, or are y'all still out there on the road, or what's going on?
Well, he is still out there on the road, and make sure and look him up because he's, puts on a fantastic show. I've, since I kind of got busy doing some of the stuff in town, I've put a pause on the road for the moment. Hopefully in the future we'll go back out there and do more of our music. We do this thing called the Wild Wolf Band. You can check us out on YouTube
Yeah,
and
I
everything.
saw it. I saw a
stupid
really
songs.
interesting video, in fact.
Oh, did you? Was it the little penis video?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It's hilarious. So you're playing the keyboards and you're singing, and it's a very beautiful song.
Well, thank you. Yeah, look it up. It's called "Say Something" by the Wild Wolf Band, and there's other videos up there. But yeah, so we, Josh and I are great friends and hang out all the time and talk all the time. But right now, his tour schedule is so crazy. He's out, every weekend, in a different city. And right now, I have like little kids, and we're just at different places in our life. So I had to kind of like tap the brakes on it and kind of pursue some of the things
Yeah.
here in area.
So how old are your kids?
They're 2 and 5.
Oh, those are little bitty kids. That definitely keeps you busy.
Yeah.
Do they make you laugh as much as you make them?
More, of course. Anybody with kids will. Everyone always says my kid's the funniest, but my kid's the funniest.
Yeah, yours is definitely the funniest.
Yeah, well, they are. Kids, just because they don't have the filter, and I think that's what what people like about great comedians is they kind of don't have a filter.
Right.
They're the common thing. Oh, they're saying what I'm thinking. But kids do that. They say what they think, all the time, and so in a weird way, they're little comedians. My son, actually, my 5-year-old, like before I go out and do shows, sometimes he'll pitch me material, and it's always terrible. Doesn't really translate to like an adult, But the other night he said, I was on my way out to just like a local place here in town, and he goes, "Hey, I have a joke for you," and I was like, "Okay, what is it?" And I don't even remember what the setup was. It was some non sequitur or something about trees or something. And he goes, "And here's the end of the joke. You rip open your shirt and say, 'It's my chest.'"
Okay.
That's it. So it made me laugh just because it was like, that makes no sense, but it's so absurd that I kind of like it. So I went out that night and I ripped open my shirt and said, "It's my chest," and it was just like silence.
Random.
Yeah, people just did not understand it at all.
Oh, that's funny. Well, did you tell your son that you had done the joke for him? I seem to have lost you. Are you still there? Are you still with me, Jiffy? There we go. Okay, I can hear you now. There you go. Sorry about that. Okay, so tell me, in terms of your agreement to be on my show. Obviously, my thought is you must get requests from people all the time, randomly hooking up on social media and Twitter saying, hey, come be on my show, or let me interview you, or I'd like to meet you, or something. You don't know me. What made you say yes to me?
Your gap in your teeth.
Oh, good. I love it.
No, you know what? You seem professional the way you know, and it's easy to do this, just from, sometimes you have to jump through hoops to do something for somebody, but it's just easy to turn on my iPad and say what's up. And you seem like you have great credits with like the Houston Chronicle and everything. And that was, impressive. And I didn't have to do any research or anything.
That's a good thing.
And you talked to Sarah already, so that made me feel safe.
Right. Well, good. Well, tell Josh I'm coming for him next. I'd love to have him on the show.
To Sarah and
That's
Jiffy.
right. That's right. And Jen Kirkman, I would love to have her on the show. That would be great. I've reached out to her before, but I know she's traveling on the road right now too. I keep hoping one of you guys or all of you guys will come through Houston, since that's where I'm located. But I don't think there's anything on the books from anybody in the upcoming future. But when you do, hey, you can come to my house, hang out. We can, watch TV, whatever. Might be fun. That sounds great. You never know. It might be fun. Well, is there anything you want to ask me? I've asked you so many questions. I mean, I feel like I'm an open book too. And, you mentioned a lot about, not having a filter. And that's really been the premise of me wanting to do this show, is people that I feel like I've connected with, either their persona on TV or as a musician or comedian or whatnot, and really want the opportunity to have them on and just feel free to say and do anything without it having to be all polished up and edited and photoshopped and all that horrible stuff. I like it just to be raw as it happens. So if there's anything you want to ask me, I would love to answer your question.
Who's your favorite interview you've ever done?
Oh, well, so far it's you, right? For sure. For sure.
Well, other than me, what was your second favorite?
My second favorite was probably an actor by the name of Ryan Carnes. He's currently being seen on General Hospital. I do admit I'm a crazy General Hospital fan, been watching since I'm 14 years old, which I know is a passion I share with Sarah, because she's a big fan as well. And Ryan was just so gracious, I think, in really having conversations with me leading up to the interview, and just being so nice that it just sort of blew me away, just how nice and genuine he is as a person, that what I was seeing on TV translated really well in real life. And he's continued to, stay in communication with me, which of course he doesn't have to do, but I'm very, very happy that he does. But I've only really done a handful of these live interviews. This is something that's kind of ramping up for me, but I probably conduct 2 or 3 different telephone or in-person interviews every single week. And that's been an aspect of being a writer that I think I enjoy the most. And I just really enjoy getting to meet people and hearing what their stories are, not necessarily, what they tell everybody else, but, maybe just a little bit different aspect of them. So that's kind of how this thing started. Yeah.
I think that's a really cool, just way to go about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
The looseness of it, and the idea of just 2 people who don't know each other really, just saying, hey, this is who I am.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it feels comfortable always when I visit with people over the air like this. And I hope I've made you feel comfortable. And I know you were
great.
Well, thank you. And, thanks to our friends at Jiffy again. I'm just kidding. I'm probably going to get thrown off of YouTube for having a fake sponsor.
You should get money for that. You should get money
right?
for that.
I need to contact those Jiffy people and say, send me some money. And you know what? As soon as I do, I will send you enough for a new iPhone. I promise.
I just need a new screen. Actually, no, I need a whole one now.
You need a new iPad. I mean, a new iPhone and a new iPad, probably.
I just need everything. I need a job, and then I'll buy all that stuff.
Hey, I totally get it. Writers like myself don't necessarily rake in the bucks either, but we have a lot of fun. So anyway,
we're all hoping for it.
Yep, always hoping for that big break. Absolutely. Well, Jiffy, I can't thank you enough again for being on the show. I know you've got a busy afternoon, I'm sure, leading into a fun-filled weekend for you and your
Oh
kids and
yeah, oh
whatever
yeah.
else you've
Well,
got
thank
going
you.
on. So I just want to thank you and hope we will stay in touch. And
Yeah,
please tell
absolutely.
Josh and Jen I'm coming after them. I want them on the show. And
Right.
just as a side note, obviously I would love to get to Chelsea, and that'll be a long-term goal of mine. But as sort of a random side note, my mother swears that we're related to handlers. And she's been telling me for years that Chelsea's a long lost, relative. So apparently we share some kind of heritage back there. So you never know. If you tell
I could
her,
see that.
if you see her, tell her, there's a girl who may or may not be related to you, but you should do her show.
I will next time I see her,
I'm just joking. Totally
which will
joking.
hopefully be on Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, thanks again, Jiffy. Have a great day. And
All right, you too, Michelle.
yeah, thanks. And all the people watching us out there, please check out Jiffy Wild. Google him. Make sure you know who he is and follow his career. He's a lot of fun and was a lot of fun to talk to today. So thank you.
Thanks,
Until
Michelle.
next time, this is No Filter with
All
Michelle
right.
Sandlin. All right, cool. Talk to you soon then, all right?